welcome to another episode of the Platform Podcast where we interview coaches, we interview parents, we interview athletes and also other professional athletes that did not go to the college system like my brother. However, on this week's podcast, we are actually getting a new sport for the first time ever in
Thank
Platform.
God.
I know, Platform history. We got Orlando Casey, rugby player. How you going, brother? All good? Yeah, thanks for coming, man. I mean, I know you're only in town. You're in Auckland for like literally, 10 days? Yep. So I really appreciate you making time to jump on here. And look, like the purpose of this podcast is to talk about, your experience in college, why you wanted to go to college, but just to kind of expose the rugby pathway, because I feel like, especially here in New Zealand, a lot of people think that you got to stay in New Zealand to make it in the sport. I feel like that's not really the case, and we're going to be chopping it up today and getting into it. I know Will's excited for this one, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I got some good questions.
You're a rugby man, right?
Yeah.
So let's just start from the beginning, bro. Like, your family is rugby mad, right? Your brothers, your dad's a great coach. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm from a family of 6, so I've got 2 older brothers, 1 older sister, and then obviously mum and dad. So everyone in my family's played rugby. Even my sister, she used to tell us netball was the hardest sport in the world, and she played 3 games of rugby and broke her nose.
Oh, no
so
way.
that was a rude awakening.
Shout out Sister Casey.
Yeah, but so I've been around rugby since I was born, pretty much. My dad's been coaching, couldn't even tell you, probably 30 plus years. He's coached from under 5s all the way up to international.
Yeah, he's coaching some international sides, isn't he?
He's coached Samoa in the World Cup in 2011. That was the first time they made the quarterfinals. And then he's coached, that was the World Cup here in New Zealand. And then he coached Tonga 2012 or 2013, something like that. He's also coached women's rugby. So he's coached the, what are they called, Black Ferns?
Yeah.
They won 2 World Cups back to back with them in like 93 or something like that. And then, so I've been around rugby since I was, literally, as I said, since I was born. I've been running the water for my brother's teams, drying the ball.
Few meters there, mate, is it?
Yeah, they're both hookers, so I always have to dry the ball for them. Yeah. I'm the only back in the family as well.
Love it.
Same.
Breaking the mold. Yeah.
You're a back?
Nah.
Yeah, get out of it. That's cool, man. And your dad was a great coach, but you were just saying before this podcast, he's a pretty quick runner as well, isn't he?
Yeah. He versed John Olomu, beat him in a running race.
We
won't talk about why he beat him, but he did. That's what you need to know.
Was it to trip him up or something?
No, he had a hamstring injury. But
there you go.
John Olomu couldn't run, but
you still beat John Olomu in a race, didn't you?
Hey,
it's not about how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah, a win's a win, and that's why my brother goes, "Oh, bro, you haven't beat me. I did when he was 8. Doesn't matter. I still got him in a tennis match. It's absolutely fine." So obviously, born into the sport, you were looking up to your older brothers that were playing. Your brothers played at quite a high level, didn't they? Yeah,
so my oldest brother played first 15 since he was year 11.
Yeah.
And then he, on the last day of school playing Howard at lunchtime, literally the last day he did his ACL, someone tackled him from behind and messed up his knee, so he was out for a year or something like that. And then he came back and played for Counties. He was in the Counties squad and played for them a couple of times, but he got too many head knocks, so he's had prolonged concussion. So he's been bloody a year or something where he can't work. Yeah. Because he's had the head.
That's so bad.
The head stuff. Yeah.
So you're playing college rugby at the moment. Tell us a bit about that. Tell us where you're playing, what you're doing.
I'm up at Davenport in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was recruited as a 10-15, but last season, so I've been there since January. So I've only been there 6-7 months.
You went pretty quick, bro. That was a quick turnaround because you finished school in November, December.
Yeah. Well, we also only approached you in August.
Yeah.
And I remember within one day, obviously I told Dad about it and he's like, it seems a bit sketchy. How's this guy? You're going to pay him $5,000 and he's going to get you a scholarship? Well, I don't know. And I was like, I put him on the phone with him and he goes, yeah, no, he sounds like a nice guy. We may as well do it. So we met up at the cafe by school one lunchtime, had a talk there, and then we signed from there, and within literally probably 18 hours, he called me the next day at lunchtime saying there's already a meeting set up. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? American colleges, I deal with it all the time. They love Kiwi rugby players.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, and going into that, some of the differences that you've found by playing in America with a bunch of, maybe ex-football players compared to playing in New Zealand, what were the main differences that you've found?
I'm lucky enough to have quite a lot of internationals, but you can tell. So with the Americans, they've obviously, if you think about it, they're 18-year-olds, but they've started playing rugby when they're 16. So they haven't been around the sport as long. They don't know as much things. But every American that I've met is willing to learn. Like, they're more obsessed with rugby than me.
Yeah, and they're monsters as well.
Yeah, they've got some very, very big dudes.
Yeah, awesome. And one of the big ones as well, and this is just something that I've found with talking to the different coaches, is that Kiwis kick for space. Americans don't like to kick.
No, well, our team's bloody full of South Africans, and South Africans just head down and run.
Yeah.
That's all they do. They don't find space in nothing, mate.
Yeah.
But that's why hopefully me at 10 I can try.
Yeah,
show
awesome.
them a little bit of New Zealand.
I mean, why did you want to go to the States though? Because like your dad's a really well-known coach. You're at Sacred Heart College, which is one of the strongest rugby schools in New Zealand. Is it better than Rosminieville?
Skip that question.
Yeah. They just won against St. Kitts in the final, so that's super impressive.
So why did you want to?
Who Rosmini did?
This is a bit of banter going on in the office. We got Will here from Rosmini College, and obviously Orlando Sacred Heart rivals. But I'm just stirring the pot like you did when I was on the podcast with my brother. This is a bit of payback. Orlando. So like, I'm not gonna lie. When I met your dad, I was extremely overwhelmed because not only was he wearing a state-of-the-art suit, and I was like, this guy's just the bee's knees.
Dressed to impress.
100%. But he told me his resume, like I knew a little bit about him, but not everything about him. So when he told me this is my resume as a coach, I was like, so why is he like gonna be sending his son to America? And then you sat down, I remember, because I was at that cafe across the road from Sacred Heart, and you were like, nah, I want to do this. Like, I'm all in. And, I mean, you weren't playing in the first 15, were you?
No, I was in the 2A squad, so I pretty much faced it. I didn't make the first selection, but obviously I just stayed training and did everything that I could so that if I didn't get the chance, which I didn't end up getting it, I could be satisfied and say, well, I did everything I tried. I ended up getting the player of the year for 2A, so if I wasn't good enough to make first 15, I was the best in 2A, so...
I mean, you did very well, and I think like the biggest hurdle was the lack of video footage. I remember at the time, and luckily, like, got to give a shout out to your mum and dad, man. They've got some great footage.
Whipped out the camera and tripod, and just we only had 5 games left.
Literally,
in the
bro.
like
I was like, A, please have a good angle, and B, don't get injured. Like, please don't get injured. And then we chopped it up, sent it out to coaches. Why did you pick Davenport, bro?
Well, Ken, they've got a good recruiter, so he bloody sold it to me. But
you've been chatting to him, but
have been chatting to Ken,
yeah. But also the dorms, I like to have my own space. So obviously, most American universities, you're in a room with it could be 3 people or 2 people. Yeah. So Davenport is like it's like an apartment style. You have your own room. I'm in an apartment style thing, but all of them you have your own room and then share a kitchen and lounge. But then the Ridge, where I'm at, you have your own bathroom and shower in your room as well. Cool. And then you have your shared spaces. But
are you living with rugby players as well?
Yeah. So I got 2. I got an Argentinian and a South African.
How good? Is the banter unreal? Like,
I can't understand the Argentinian.
That is a good point. Like, obviously in American college, in New Zealand when you play rugby, it's full of other Kiwis, right? You might get an odd, international student on the team, but everyone speaks English. Everyone kind of has the same game style because Kiwis all kind of play the same in a way. But at college, you're obviously you've probably got French guys, you've got Argentinians, South Africans.
South Africans, Zimbabweans, 2 from the UK.
So it's just a big soup of different rugby cultures put in one team. Like, how does coach manage that?
He's pretty much up to the first 5, to be honest. So that's why I've got to fill some big shoes. They had Sean Nolan there. He was there for 2 or 3 years. He's probably got the biggest boot I've seen. He's an All-American, but he's got an Irish passport, I think. But he's probably got the biggest boot that I've seen. He's bloody...
So the American footballers are knocking, are they?
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, like, bro, you've been to the Blues setup. Like, I know that your dad is real good mates, like Kevin Mialamu, and your dad was telling me stories how he's
I've been at Alexandra Park, so I've done kicking sessions with Zahn Sullivan and stuff there. So he's the Blues fullback. I was supposed to do one with Dan Carter this week, but he's going off to the World Cup on Monday or something. So I'm going to do it in December when I'm back here.
And so being in these facilities like the Blues setup and then going to Davenport, what was it like? Like for people listening to this that have never ever been to an American university or yet alone a rugby setup overseas outside of New Zealand, what's it like, bro? You've been there, you've lived it. Tell us about it.
So it's not just a rugby thing, but rugby has their own part in it. So it's obviously the field that we use is shared with the football team. So they're obviously the main.
Right.
They bring in the most money for
American football.
Yeah, American football. Sorry. And then I think women's soccer uses it and men's soccer, and I think that's it. So there's rugby, 2 soccer teams, and the American football. So we have a training room with, I don't know, bloody 9+ beds or something, like to get your strapping and all that. There's a cold plunge. There's a gym with 12 power racks. This is at a D2 college as well, by the way.
That's unreal.
You've got your training rooms, which is like, I don't even know. It's bigger than the ones that I've had at school.
Bro, that's like bigger than a City Fitness here.
It is. The building size is definitely bigger than a City Fitness. And then you have your football stadium outside of that. So you walk out of the changing rooms onto there to train and play. And then obviously they have their tennis stuff and all of that on the other side.
And what kind of like stuff does your S&C coach get you doing for rugby specific?
Like injury prevention
Yeah,
stuff.
like what kind of lifting do you do? Because obviously you'd do a different S&C program than a swimmer. You know, what kind of stuff has coach got you doing?
So you do your compound lifts, you do your bench, squat, stuff like that. You stay away from, conventional deadlifts, because that's not very good for your lower back. You do the trap bar, so the ones you can stand in the middle and do it. A lot of rubber band stuff, a lot of movement, because a lot of the
flexibility,
big props need their shoulders moving and legs, so stuff like that. And then you have the odd guys doing biceps in the corner for the...
Always, is that you,
mate.
bro? Your jumper looks
Always.
pretty tight there, mate.
Nah.
Yeah, no, because it's crazy. And often, you know, I don't know, you look at it from all the different sports and kind of how each sport's got its own kind of niche, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, awesome.
And so, like, regarding your fitness, I remember you were pumping some pretty heavy tin, mate, before you left. Like, you were going pretty handy in the gym in New Zealand. When you went there, have you hit any big PBs?
Nah, because it's all... You don't really do 1 rep maxes for rugby. It's all in the 4 rep range. Like, if you're going for strength, you'll do 3 sets of 4 on squat or bench. And then for size, you're doing 8 reps, 12 reps. But I have done... I did my own over summer, because we've been in summer for 3 months, so I've been doing my own training because you have that time off. I did hit 135 on bench, 135 kgs.
Let's go.
So that's...
Bro, what did you hit? You just told me in the office today, Will, that you've slept on.
You love it, eh?
Love it. Yeah.
No, well, I hit 2 plates. I got 2 plates up.
How many reps?
Just one.
Down to your chest?
Yep. Full rep. Just got 1. You know, it's been one of those ongoing things where I've just, you know, I want to make sure that I've still got it.
Yeah.
Being able to do 2 plates is kind of knowing that you've still got it. So
why are you saying still got it? You're 22, bro.
I'm washed.
Speaking like he's 40, mate.
I'm washed. I'm a washed athlete.
Get out of it. Bro, when we were talking before, like when you rocked up to the office, Orlando, you were saying that your dad actually came over to America with you, and this is pretty cool. He actually coached the team for a week.
Yeah. So he came. So when we travel somewhere, we leave on a Thursday or something because we take a bus. So he came Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So he coached us for three sessions there for 2 hours 2 hours a day. Sorry, and then he came on the bus with us and traveled there. We did 1 training on a Thursday, like halfway in between. We were going up to Army West Point, which is in New York.
Nice campus.
Don't even want to talk about it, mate. It's like a $500 million campus. There's two football stadiums.
Yeah.
They've got their own hospital. Armed guards at the gates, man.
It's pretty unreal.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just silly how much money they put into athletics there, isn't it?
Everywhere's got Go Army, Sink Navy on everything. Like Navy's their rival. So like on the roofs of their buildings, on the walls, everywhere, Sink Navy.
Oh my days! I never heard of that. That's unreal.
So that's how they have their little. Because obviously they're all, when they go to war, they're all one thing. But that's how they have their little competitions in between their little things.
I know that. Yeah, that is funny because like my dad was in the Air Force and they used to have like military rugby games against like the army. And,
Crazy. What position did your dad play?
He was a lock. He was he was actually a good rugby player too.
He was a good rugby player. Didn't want to go pro?
I think he tried.
Shout out, Mr. Clarkson.
Yeah.
But getting back to your dad, so the coaches there must have been super appreciative, like someone off, your dad's resume to come in and coach the program. But how was it you, bro, having dad run the program?
Yeah, so he didn't really coach us because it's like what's that saying about the fisherman? Give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish. Yeah, whatever it is.
Bro, I heard that today on the podcast as well. That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
So he came over and would come like an hour before training and coach the coaches. So he ended up giving us the All Blacks, like what the All Blacks were using. I don't even know if I should say it. Nah, it's fine.
Bleep it out, Stefan.
He gave us the All Blacks maul defense that they were using this year.
Wow.
So he taught that to the boys that week, and then Army must have mauled. They only learnt it for 2 days. Army must have mauled 5 mauls, and we stopped 3 of them with that thing. So it was a pretty quick turnaround for those boys learning that.
Was Army surprised?
Yeah, they thought it'd be a walkover, mate. We beat them, so we kicked the penalty on the 81st minute to win.
Let's go.
And then the ref played on, and then they got a penalty and kicked it on the 84th, and we lost. That was 4.
How does that work?
It's only an 80-minute game, mate.
Yeah.
You explain it to me. You're preaching to the choir, mate.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think of the lacrosse guys at Davenport?
I haven't really talked to them. Well, I see one of them in the gym. He's pretty big, but that's about it.
Yeah. Have you watched the game of lacrosse?
I've seen them training. I don't understand it fully.
Right.
It does look pretty tiring because it's all sprints and stuff, but...
Yeah, you're carrying a few niggles, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got no knee at the moment.
You were just saying that to Dave in the office before.
Yeah, that is one thing. If you're going to America and you're going to play on turf, try train on a hard ground before you get there.
That's game changing.
Because a lot of boys...
So you play rugby on turf?
Yeah.
Yeah, how does that feel?
I wear calf skin, so I don't get the grazes, but I have got a few... from that.
Turf burn?
Yeah.
It's the worst day. And you just can't do anything about it.
You can't shower.
You can't do anything about it.
Terrible.
It's like falling on sand.
No, it's like falling on a cheese grater.
Yeah, and then it just burns. It's awful. Yeah, turf burns are the worst.
It takes like 3 weeks to heal. You got to put disinfectant stuff on it all the time.
Yeah, I remember playing on that when I was playing soccer for New Plymouth Boys High back in the day. I was a soccer boy. No jokes here, Orlando. And went to Wellington to go play, and it was the first time because we didn't have turf in New Plymouth. We only had grass. And then went and played on turf there, and just came back home. Mum's like, "What's up? Your arm was like all bleeding."
Yeah,
you can't do anything about it.
But it's even just the hard ground, like it jars your knees and ankles just from running on it. So you just try to get used to it if you can.
Totally, bro. And when your mum went over to visit you, were saying that your brother also helped out with the team a little bit as well, which is quite cool.
He's obviously been coached by my dad since he was little as well. So he came over and did probably like an hour scrum line-out session with the boys. And they were saying that's one of the best coaching sessions they've had.
That's so sick.
Just, they haven't, like some of the words and stuff, they didn't know some of the things existed. And like, it got that technical in rugby.
That's cool, bro. I mean, it sounds like you've had a really great experience. Like the first semester's gone really well, which is awesome. I mean, did it exceed your expectations of like what you're getting into, or is it like you're expecting that kind of environment and that kind of...
I was expecting most. I didn't expect there to be that much internationals there, but I actually because the American rugby players have watched rugby, so they've watched like New Zealanders or people from the UK, so they've adopted that kind of culture. But then you have your true like Americans, and they're a bit different to the
What would be like
average
when you compete against another university? You're playing as a 10, right?
Now this semester I am. I was playing centre.
Centre.
Yeah.
Is it quite? Are the supporters here quite patriotic towards their own team? Like, do they really come out and support rugby? Because I know it's an emerging sport in the US.
It's the fastest growing sport, actually. I found that stat the other day.
Actually,
fastest growing American sport is rugby.
Wow.
Women's rugby especially, but men's rugby's up there.
Yeah, they're starting to get the high school kids into it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, Army they had half a bloody legit army on the side, and every time they scrum,
go figure.
Every time they scrum or something, they'd do their chant and everything like that. So that game was that was a quarterfinal or something. So that was pretty.
It must have been a bit different than playing 2A for Sacred Heart. Kind of, going from playing that with mum and dad and a couple other parents on the sideline to playing in front of maybe the thousands of people. Kind of how did you adjust you know, the mindset, like, because it does affect you up here playing in front of that many people. Like, how did you cope with that?
I don't want to sound like a, you know,
sound however you want.
Nah, bro,
go for
it. Speak your mind, bro.
I just try not to like. Lindenwood started giving me a bit of chirp. I was on the wing, so they were right next to me. Why you got tape around your boots? Your boots aren't going to fall off. But I was like, mate, my boots are split. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Stop being mean to me, bro.
Nah, I just I don't know. I
just dial in.
Just turn it into a like controlled aggression, if you you know what I mean.
Talking about Lindenwood, that was on the table. We were sort of dabbling around on that.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any sort of like, I want to go after you guys now? You know, do you have any of that? Because you didn't end up going there.
I don't know. I haven't really had a full. Like, this semester will be the proper first semester because I'll be at 10, so I'll actually be able to control the game and
dictate
give
play.
my input in. But they're nothing special from what I saw. Like, they beat us, but I didn't see, like, you see people here in New Zealand, like, he stands out. He's a good player. I haven't seen many like that.
I'm excited. It'll be cool to watch the games live stream as well, man. I can't wait
have them in the TV in the other room.
Yeah.
We'll be shouting abuse. What advice could you give athletes that are on the fence about going to America? Because I know a lot of people's dreams are to play Super Rugby in New Zealand and try and make it into the All Blacks one day. It's like the pinnacle of rugby, I guess, for every child's dream. What advice could you give these kids about after going to America?
Well, it depends, because your whole season, your whole future could come down to one coach's opinion. So, like, that's what happened to Hoskins this year. He didn't make the All Blacks because the coach thought something like he didn't fit his standard. But then the coach before that started him every game. Yeah. So it literally comes down to what one coach thinks of you. So if you can back it and think you'd make it, I think I don't want to sound like a numbnuts, but I think I could have made it pretty well here if I really put it, obviously with the coaching and stuff that I could get.
Yeah.
But then it's a whole different experience that you get going over there. I've got friends from South Africa, as I said, Zimbabwe, Argentina, the UK, and then obviously all the Americans. So you get to meet a whole lot of new people as well as playing rugby and having fun, and you get paid to travel around pretty much. That's
amazing, bro. And like, have you ever integrated with an MLR player or club? You've trained with any teammates?
No, I haven't
seen any games.
I haven't really watched it, to be honest. But they a lot of the South African boys are into it quite a lot, so I may as well try watch some of the games with them.
The other question I had as well, and this is something that I ask a lot of athletes, and one of the biggest things of being a student athlete that you have to work out is balance. You know, because you're basically living a professional lifestyle, but you also have school on top of that, as well as still trying to maintain a social life, because that's just as important, that social aspect. How have you found like managing all the different things that you've got to do?
I just try, as long as you listen in class, you like, if the teacher's giving you an assignment at the start of class, you know the rest of that class you're just going to be explaining the assignment. So if you already know about the topic or something, I try and get half of it done in that class while they're explaining the other stuff for
rather
other people
than leaving
to
it.
Out. Yeah. So I just get it done because then I have training after that. But there's also, you have 2-hour gaps in between class and stuff like that. So you just got to use your time wisely.
Yeah, easy.
And then with the sporting ones, Mark, we call him Marky Mark. He's the Wallabies winger, number 14. He was telling me, he's like, when you're on, but when you're off, you're off. So if you've got training, if you've got a game, you can't be drinking or stuff during the week. You got to be on and turn up to training, do everything. But then when you have your rest, when you have your 3-month summer break, take the rest. Like have your 2 months off and then 1 month
have your downtime.
Yeah, start getting back into it and training and stuff like that.
Bro, I love that. That's why you see all these NBA players dipping out, going on holidays.
Yeah, they'll go to Costa Rica as soon as they lose. Like an hour later, they're gone.
Yeah,
literally.
It is important. Yeah, it is very important.
Well, it's also on the mental side as well. I see a lot of people get burnt out with sport and training. Like, we train 2 hours a day every day, and then you have 1 hour of gym 3 times after those trainings.
And do you fit in your own gym stuff as well, or do you just purely stick to?
Not really, unless we're doing like, if I feel like we haven't done enough in the gym, because they don't. Pre-season is where you do all your size stuff, so you're doing all your high reps, and then in the season you're just trying to maintain what you've put on and the strength and stuff. So you don't really have time to be doing all the extra, like growing your biceps.
They are important though.
Yeah, for the photo shoot. We do have media day coming up, so I should be into that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Bro, send us some photos to the gram, please.
Yeah.
We just spoke to a new website guy. Oh, this media guy is going to do some photos for our website, bro. We'd love to put you on there. I'm going to ask you a point blank question, mate. Who missed out in the All Blacks World Cup selection?
Akedi Ioane, Hoskins, Satutu.
I was surprised that Hoskins and Satutu didn't get enough love, eh?
What about Brad Weber?
Yeah, but Cam Roigard is a bloody good player. Like, his pass is very crisp, but yeah, he doesn't have no experience. So it is a big, bold move, but I think Finlay Christie and Aaron Smith I don't think Roigard will get much playing time at all.
Aaron Smith's unreal, eh? Did you see how much of an impact he made when he came on at that second half at the last game?
He's been playing for...
Bro, silly.
How long?
Wow, he is real good.
They literally put out on an Instagram reel today being like, this is the greatest team of all time. And it was like, Ma'a was in there. 2015
World Cup.
Bro, and it was like, Smithy was in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy's still going 8 years later.
6:30 in the morning, eh? It's early morning tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning, yeah.
Tomorrow morning.
100%.
Get up for it. It's going to be a big one.
Bro, why is Artie Sevilla not the captain and Sam Cane is? I'm asking you all these hard questions, bro. I'm going to stir the pot a little bit.
Man. I don't know. I would put...
Who would be your ideal All Blacks captain?
Richie McCaw. No.
Obviously.
Yeah, I would probably put Artie over Sam Cane, and I would put Dalton starting over Sam Cane as well.
Do you reckon? But Sam Cane's his tackle percentage is pretty high though. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
Will?
but
so was Dalton.
Mate, did you see Dalton Papali'i?
Didn't he get 36 tackles in that game against...
But last year, he paid, I don't know what it was. It was like $100 every tackle he made or something. He would give $100 to charity or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
He ended up paying thousands or some.
No, he's unreal. Yeah. I'm a big Dalton fan.
Dalton fan. Yeah. Who do you think's who missed the cut in your eyes of this World Cup squad?
I do like the squad. I really like the squad, but and this is a bit of a different one. I actually like Brad Weber over Finlay Christie.
Why is that?
Yeah, no, that's a good. If you put Damien McKenzie at first five, Brad Weber and McKenzie have been playing in the Chiefs for the last
and I think Brad Weber's just a bit more sound on the defensive end as well.
And do you reckon there's that experience as well? Like Brad Weber's been around the block for a lot longer.
That connection,
chemistry. How important?
Aaron Smith's been in there for how long? So he's already got everything down. But then if you have, I know as a 10, if you had your halfback that you're used to, you know, if he picks up the ball and takes one step before he passes, or if he passes straight, things like that, you pick up. So they just feed off each other, and it obviously
How important is it for you to have a good connection with your 9 as a 10?
Well, if you look at every international team that's won a World Cup, their 8, 9, and 10 are all bloody
in sync.
Yeah.
With the current All Blacks, I reckon it's a great team. I reckon the lineup for tomorrow morning against the Springbok, I reckon that's a great back line. What do you reckon about their back line?
It's new.
Richie Mo'unga's the GOAT.
Richie Mo'unga is not bad, is he?
No, he is. He's not better than Dan Carter, but he is up there.
Yeah, bro, you're about to stitch up the guy that's going to take you out.
Obviously, Dan Carter and Richie McCaw can't come into rugby talk at all because they just sit at the top.
Literally.
No one can compete with them. I don't think anyone will be able to. But Richie Mo'unga is a very good player.
Here's another one for you. What do you think of the World Cup jerseys?
I didn't like them at first, but when I saw Rico Ioane put it on his story, they looked fresh.
Yeah.
That looks very fresh.
I mean, look, different's always going to rustle a few feathers, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's always cool that they have different ones. What would be the greatest Rugby World Cup team the All Blacks have put together? Would it be...
2011.
2011 was very good. You have all your... You have Ma'anonu and Sonny Bill. Sonny Bill was coming off the bench.
Yeah, that was
in
some
2011.
Depth. That was depth of doom.
That is unheard of. That guy would start anywhere else in the world. But then 2015, you have all Ben Smith, Beauden Barrett Prime, Dan Carter still, Richie McCaw,
It's a good debate. It's a very good debate.
Now, next part of my direct questions to you, mate. What do you think of the mentality that Razor brings, the new All Blacks coach, about letting players going overseas and get the bag, but still be eligible to play for the All Blacks?
I think it's fair because obviously there's so much talent here, but then Super Rugby, you might only be getting paid $200,000. Obviously, that's a lot of money, but you could go over to Japan and make $800,000.
Yeah,
and it puts the power in the hands of the athlete.
Yeah.
Right. New Zealand Rugby no longer has that hold over the players. So I think it's great for the sport. I think it's, commercializing sport is great. And, rugby's quite old school. It's quite a gentleman's game. But being able to commercialize it and, let the Americans kind of do their thing. Because if there's one thing America's really good at, it's sport. And they've shown that.
They just have so much more selection of athletes. So if the people that were playing like American football, if they were brought up playing rugby, America would be unstoppable in rugby. No one would be able to compete. If they had the same skill set and stuff as like the All Blacks and stuff now, their athletes are...
Yeah, no, it's definitely... I'm pro it. I think that athletes, you don't know how long you're going to be playing the sport for. There's a clock on you.
Make as much money as you can.
Exactly, bro. Go support your family. And you've sacrificed pretty much your whole teenage years to be really good at it for about, 5 to 8 years. Go maximize that amount of money you can make. So you see guys go to Japan. You said before this podcast that you got like friends in France, right? You got kids that are like 13, 14 years old now.
Yeah,
that
my
are
cousin.
Is your cousin?
Yeah. He's 13. They're paying for his schooling, and then he gets a little bit of money on top of that at 13 to play rugby.
In France.
His dad plays professionally. I don't know what the team is, somewhere in France. My parents are actually going over there for a wedding, so they're bringing me back one of his jerseys.
No way. Is it like racing or something?
I don't know. It's a green, whatever the...
Well, are you going to bring us back one of your jerseys to hang on the wall?
Bro, signed, please.
Give us. We got new kit. We got Paladin. That's what the MLR uses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You had Paladin. I know the Paladin guys here in New Zealand. My brother used to be sponsored by them. They're like with pretty much. They're with Auckland Rugby, right?
They've taken over Canterbury, I think.
Yeah. They used to do New Zealand lacrosse as well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, until we went to Nigel
Morgan. Shout out Nigel Morgan. Your sports, dynamic sports, baby. Plug. That's awesome, bro. Owen Farrell, red card, missing out on a couple of games.
Yeah,
fair?
opening 2 games.
Is that fair?
That guy's a repeat offender, mate. He's done that like 4 times.
Yeah.
They gave bloody George Moala a 5-week ban for dump tackling someone, which had it should have been a red card, but it wasn't a dangerous one. Like, he didn't make contact with the head or anything. And then Owen Farrell did it and he got nothing. Mm. So that's why like TJ Petinata and stuff were all putting stuff up on their Instagram.
Bro, I saw that. I saw Artie post something about it as well.
Everyone, the whole rugby, like...
Is it because Owen Farrell's dad is like quite influential as well in the UK space? Isn't he a coach? He's a coach of a team over there?
I'm unsure.
I'm pretty sure he's a coach of a team and they're like, oh, it's because it's your son. Like, that's why he's getting special treatment. And like,
I don't know.
I just don't like that guy, to be honest.
No.
He winds me up. He's so cheeky. But I guess
UK, that's why.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like, if you're an All Black supporter, the English are going to get under your skin sometimes. What do you think of the red card rules in America?
Yeah, what's the refereeing like? That's a real good question.
So it's not really much different from what I'd have at 2A. So 2A, we would have the same refs that would coach like the younger boy, the 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds. And then obviously first 15 get their own because they're the top. So it's not really that much different. If you were playing like club rugby or something, then you'd probably see a difference. But it's just, obviously they're just learning.
In terms of how they referee the ruck?
Yeah, they don't see much. They don't see as much as New Zealand refs, but they're still learning the game and the game's spreading. So that's obviously you're going to a place where rugby's not the number one sport. So you're going to have to get used to little things like that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the red card situation? Because you were telling me before that if you get a red card, it's 20 minutes. Yeah,
the usual rules is you go off for 20 minutes, and then after 20 minutes, someone can replace you in your position, but you still stay off. And if you've done something bad, you could get 4 weeks off or something like that. But then they were playing the old rules in one of our games. We got a red card like 5 minutes into the second half.
What do you do?
I think someone tackled him low, so he kind of dropped as this guy went to tackle him, and then he hit him in the head.
Oh, okay.
But it was some dude. They got a red card actually, like 5 minutes to go in the game, because some dude headbutted me. Like they put a chip kick through, and I was looking at the ball like that, and we bumped into each other.
Yeah.
He got knocked out. I was fine.
Hey, the Caseys, eh?
What are your goals for the season, personally?
Yeah.
Personally, what are your goals going into the fall? Your first fall, proper time starting at 10. What are your goals?
It'll be the same goals I had in 2A, is to play a perfect game, pretty much.
Every game?
So we started off the first 2 or 3 games in 2A. My dad, I could show you the messages. He'll send me a paragraph probably that big. After every game, things I've done wrong and right, and then I'd write the things that I've done wrong, and then write every night on a Friday what I won't do in the game and then what I'm going to do. So I got to the point where towards the end of the thing, there wasn't much I could write in what I won't do because I had cleared all of them and gone past them pretty much. So it's just visualizing what You're
going to do real well.
Yeah.
You're going to do real well. The fact you know how to be self-critical and how to work that.
That's the whole...
How do you take advice from your dad being coach? Because I got a younger brother that's a tennis player. My dad's his coach, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it can be challenging. How's it with you?
Nah, he'll tell me, he listens to what I say because he knows you see things different in a game as on the sideline. The sideline 100%. You might see more space or something, but he'll take in what I've said, and then if he still thinks he's right, he'll tell me. Otherwise, he'll just say, yeah, no, I understand that. But it's definitely, I've got a world-class coach that turns up to all of my games, sends me a paragraph of what I should work on, what I like. I've had dinners with what's the old All Blacks coach, Ted? Sir Graham Henry. I've had dinners with him, like talking about rugby and stuff at my house.
That's crazy.
Like that guy's won World Cups and stuff, everything. He's coached all the...
He's the GOAT.
Yeah. And so I've had, like, my dad's introduced me to so many players, coaches that I can take. Like, I used to be in the Blues changing rooms after their games as like a 5-year-old, just listening to all their rugby talk and all that.
Bro, your dad's done a lot for you, man.
Yeah.
Father's Day's coming up on Sunday, bro. You're just missing it. What are you going to get him? Your flight's tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
His birthday was like two weeks ago or something.
Yeah. 21.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not much to get there, guy, because he's the one with all the money, so he buys everything he wants.
I got to catch up with your dad. Now you mentioned he's a new market as well. He's just up the street apparently. We've got to go catch up with him for a beer or something.
Definitely.
What is your end game? What's your goal? What does Orlando Casey want to do post university?
Obviously still be playing rugby, but if I'm injured, then I'll have my degree to be my backup plan. So
yep.
Main goal is to make money, obviously. Money, people say money's not very important, but it definitely is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely is important. But I do want to play in Japan or stay in America if I get MLR thing.
Yeah.
Or go to Japan. I have an Irish passport, so I could go to the UK and play over there. So I've got a lot of options. Yeah.
Great. Any more questions, Will?
No, I'm good. No, I'm super excited to kind of follow, this and see how you go, and it's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Awesome, bro. No, thank you so much, and have a really safe flight tomorrow, bro.
Sweet.
He's got his platform bag tags.
You do?
Yeah.
Gonna be rocking through the airport with those.
Bro,
we gotta get you one of these.
I know, man. I know. I want to get some merch.
I would be wearing it if I had it.
Bro, I want to get you one of these. We've been talking about like getting some merch for our athletes all sorted, so we're gonna do that. But we also, when you come back next time, would love to hit you up about getting one of those Davenport jackets or something. We want to have a shelf with like all college stuff on it, and the guys here are pretty cool at this office space that we rent it from. They're like, yeah, do whatever you want. So for sure, nice. We'd love to have a feature wall, brother. Orlando Casey podcast. That's a wrap.
Yeah, and to any kind of aspiring rugby players that want to go to the States, come talk to us. And you could be like Orlando.
Yeah, you can be like Orlando. Nah, no one can be like Orlando. Nah, just kidding.
Awesome. Wrap it up.
Thanks.